Welcome back to the Coding Project. My mission is to make coding fun and easy to learn.
In today's video, we will continue styling our HTML. We will start with our main and H1 elements. We will be styling borders, classes, margins, paddings, background colors, font sizes, and more. We will learn how to make our site responsive so it looks good on a big screen as well as on a mobile device. We will also look at and learn how to use the Google Chrome Inspect tool, which is very useful and important when coding. So without further ado, let's jump right into part 3 of our project. So now we are going to style the main part of our HTML. Let's go back to HTML. And here on line 11, it says main, and that encompasses everything down here, everything in here, main. Okay, so we're going to style that. Let's go back up. We need to put a class in here first so that we can style it with our external style sheet. So we're going to do class equals, and we're going to call that main div, main-div. Fantastic. So now let's go to our style sheet and let's put that in. Now, when we put the class in, so we didn't HTML and body, we just used HTML body. We didn't put a class in. But when you put a class in, you have to put dot main-div. You need that dot there. And then, oops, let's go here and curly bracket there. Perfect. Now, the first thing I want to do again is put that border in so you can see where the main starts and the main ends. So I'm going to just copy and paste this border, but I'm going to change the color after we copy and paste it. So copy, and I'm going to paste it in here. Okay, and let's change that to blue. I'm going to change that border to blue. B-L-U-E. Okay, so let's take a look here. And now you see they're flush against each other because the main and the body are right next to each other. So they're right next to each other. So right now, it really doesn't do much, but we're going to style it so it is going to change. Next, I want to add a margin to the main div. But first, I want to hide the blue border. In order to do that, we're going to comment it out. We're going to do, on the Mac, it's command // or you can just do / asterisk and then asterisk / the end, little space between what's inside. And that, so you notice how that took away the blue border here because I wanted to see what it looks like. Well, first of all, I wanted to show you what it looks like, the comment out on CSS. It looks different than HTML. And second of all, I want you to see if you can see the change it makes without that blue border. So we're going to do margin, and we are going to do 3 rem. Now remember, 1 rem equals 10 pixels, so 3 rem equals 30 pixels. And then we're going to do 0.8 rem as well, and then a semicolon. So basically what happened is that 30 pixels, it's going to bring it down 30 pixels from the top, and then it's going to bring it up 30 pixels from the bottom, and it's going to bring it in 8 pixels from the right and 8 pixels from the left. Whenever you have the margin and you only put in 2 values, it's going to be the first value is the top and bottom, and the second value is going to be the right and left. If you have 4 values, it'll go top, right, bottom, left. Okay, so it was hard to see what happened there, wasn't it? So let's do that again, but let's add back the blue border. I'm going to take that off. It moved back. You can see it moved a little bit on the right side, but now let's take off this comment out here and let's get that blue border back in. Okay, the blue border's back in. Fantastic. Now let's put that same margin in, and now you'll definitely be able to see a difference. So 3 rem, it's just 30 pixels from the top and bottom, and 0.8 rem. That would be 8 pixels from the left and right. So now let's open this up here, and you can definitely see a difference. See from the top, from the red, that blue border used to be flush with the red one. Now it's 30 pixels down. And then on the right and left, you can see it's 8 pixels on the left and 8 pixels on the right that got pushed out. And then if we go to the bottom, let me just minimize this. If we go to the bottom, you see it's the blue border is pushed up 30 pixels. Now the main element goes all the way to the red border, but the margin got pushed in. So you can see what when you play with the margin, you see what it does and what happens. Without that border, you really can't see it. So now we're going to add padding next. Now padding is interesting because it's on the inside instead of the outside of that blue border. So we're going to actually add padding. Padding's on the inside here rather than the outside. And I want to introduce you to something that Google Chrome has called the Inspect tool, and that's really, really important, and I use it all the time. So we need to go into Google Chrome right here. So I am going to go into Google Chrome. I'm going to enlarge this right here, and we're going to right click, and if you scroll all the way down to the inspect, INSPECT, see T right there, inspect, and then, so here we go. So here's our HTML right here on the right side. Now we want to go, we're on the main elements. We want to click on main. It's right here. I clicked on main. That way it'll highlight main, and then we want to go all the way to the bottom. Now there's a box at the bottom. You everybody see that box at the bottom? Now remember the margin we put in. We put in 30 pixels. Look here. 30 pixels on the top and bottom, and 8 pixels. See that? 8 pixels on the left and right. So if I highlight that, I highlight the margin. You can see here too that it highlights it in tan right there. Now the border, remember the border was 0.5 rem, which is 5 pixels. It changes that blue border to tan, or kind of light purple. And then if in the middle we have the padding. So the padding is inside here. Now right now we have no padding at all. And then the inside is basically the content. And that's the content of the main element right there. So we want to add padding. I just wanted you to see this because now you can see, oh, you did add 30 pixels to the margin from the top and bottom, and 8 on the left and right. And this is really, really good. And if you're not sure, you can check the inspect tool and go down here. So now let's go back. I'm going to go up to the right here and X out here. I'm going to minimize this. And let's go add that padding we're going to add in here. So with the padding, I want to add 1.5 REM, which would be what? Would be 1.5 times 10, which would be 15 pixels. So 15 pixels all around the inside. Now it's kind of hard to see that because I can't do a border around there around the content box. But let's go back to the inspect. So let's go back in here to the Google Chrome inspect. And let's go down to first of all, you got to click on main at the top here, make sure, and then scroll down. And then now look down here. Can you see at the bottom? And let me just open this up a bit. So now you can see if I highlight, go onto the padding, it does show there's 15 pixels all around of padding. See that? The 15 pixels of padding going all around here like this, and it's highlighted in green. Let me show you one more thing here. Let's go back to our CSS. Again, with padding, the same as with margin. If it's just one value, like 1.5 REM, which is 15 pixels, it's going to do top, right, bottom, and left all together. If it's two values, it'll be top, bottom, the first value, and then right and left the second. And 4 is going to be top, right, bottom, left. So we put the padding in here, and let's open this up to see what it looks like. It changed it a little bit. It pushed it inside, the picture inside a little bit more. And then the last thing we want to do here is we want to add a background color. So let's go to background. All we got to do is background color. And for the background color, we're going to make a kind of a light gray. So I'm going to do hashtag EEE. It's going to be a light gray. And it changed it. It's kind of hard to see on the right side. But okay, let's take away that light gray and let's just change it to green so you can really see what happens. GREEN. And there it is. So you see the green, you can really see the green change. Let me open it up. And you can see, perfect, it changed right there. Now the margin didn't change, right? Look, the margin is there. The margin is still white. The margin is white from the main element. So now let's go back in. And now I'm going to change it back to what I want, which is going to be kind of a light gray. So it's going to be hashtag EEE. And then let's open that up once again and see. And you can see, I mean, if I took that blue border out, you can see that it's kind of grayish here and it's white on the margin there. That's exactly what I want for this. Minimize that right there. And now we're done with the main div. The next thing I want to do is I want to make this responsive. So if we go from a computer to a cell phone, it's not going to look like hell. It's going to look great, and it's going to, still look really good on whether it be on a large screen or a small screen. So we're going to do that next. So in order to make it responsive, we need to go at media space bracket, and then max width colon, and I'm going to just use pixels for now. So we're going to say 512 pixels. And then, so what that means is, that means that when, let's say somebody's going from a larger screen from a computer and they're shrinking it down, when it gets to 512 pixels or less, so 512 pixels is the break point or less, it's going to change. And how is it going to change? We're going to get rid of the margin. We don't want this margin to show up on a small screen because we don't want to waste that viewport space. So we want it to shrink right there. So the next thing we need to do here, before we do all that, is we need to do curly bracket. And then we need to tell it what it's going to, what class, what element. It's going to be main-div, because we're going to do that for the main element. And then again, we need another curly bracket, space. And then first, again, I want to change that border so you can see what happens when it changes. The border is going to change color too at that breakpoint. So we're going to copy. You can tell I like to use that border. And then Command V. And when it changes, it's going to change to green when it hits that breakpoint. The border is going to change from blue to green. Okay, and then next, what we want to do is we want to change that margin. Okay, so we want to go from that margin, we want that to go to 0. Okay, 0. So now let's take a look at that, see how that looks. So I'm going to open the screen up. Let's click on here. Okay, great. So now you can see here, this blue is going to change to green, and it's going to go flush against here because we're going to lose that margin. We're going to lose that 30 pixels and the 8 pixels. I'm going to bring it smaller. Ready? Let's go. Here we go. And as soon as that blue turns to green, that's when we hit that breakpoint. We're not yet, not yet. It's got to get 512 pixels. And there, right there. You see it? Okay, the green, it turned to green, and it goes flush up against there. That's our breakpoint right there. Okay, and we can't go any further. So that's what is going to happen when it hits 512 pixels or less. You're going to lose that margin, and it's going to give you more basically viewport space, more space to see things on. See, let's do it once more. Go slower, slower, slower. It's going to happen soon. Ready? Wait for it. Here we go. Boom. Okay, turned green, and we lost the margin. Now, be careful. Okay, warning, warning, warning. I'm going to use REM instead of pixels here because I don't want to use pixels, but it's a little bit confusing because the media query declaration is not based on the font size that you apply to HTML. So our font size in HTML, our font size right here is HTML is 10 pixels, but in the media query, they do not base it off of that. It's based off pretty much what all the browsers are, which is 16 pixels. So I don't want to change this to 51.2 REM because that would be way too big. So let's just do that. Well, let's not do that because it's just going to be it's going to be back here, the breakpoint. The breakpoint is going to be much higher. So what we do is you take 512 pixels, divide that by 16, and that comes out to 32. So 32 times 16 equals 32 times 16 equals 512 pixels. So we're going to change that to 32 REM. So just be careful with that. With REM, most of the time, it's based off of up here the HTML, the root element font size, but at Media Query, no, it's based off 16 pixels. So I changed that there, and let's go take a look again, and it should do the same thing. Let's pull it open. Oh, let's grab our browser and let's close it. Slower, slower, slower. It's going to turn green, and we're going to lose the margins. And there we go. It turned green right at the spot. Perfect. So it's going to be 32 REM at that point, and margin is 0. But other than that, once it gets past its 512 pixels or 33 REM, then the margin is going to come back, and the border is going to turn blue again. Now we're going to lose all those borders. I'm just using those borders for so it's easy to see when it happens instead of trying to look for when the margin it decreases. Okay, so now that's finished, and we're going to go on and we're going to look next at our headline right here. Our header, it's going to be Michael Brecker, and we are going to style that next. So we're going to style the H1, which is, let's go to index.html, and the H1 is right here, Michael Brecker, okay. And your typical font size for H1 is 32 pixels. So let's start out. I'm not going to add a class here because we only have one H1, and we're just going to do H1 and then curly bracket return. Again, I want you to see that everything is a box. So I am going to put a border around the H1 box, and we're going to get rid of these later, I promise you. It's copy and paste it in here. Okay, Command V. Okay, so now it's going to be blue. We're going to keep it blue so you can see it blue right there. Okay, that's our H1 box right there. And what I want to do now, I want to change the font size. I want to make it a little bit bigger font size. We're going to make it 4 REM. Remember what that's going to be, 4 REM, 4 times 10 pixels. So it's going to be 40 pixels. It's going to be a little bit bigger. Remember, the normal font size is 32 pixels. We can change that to 40 pixels. The last thing I want to do on H1 is take away the bottom margin here. But before we do that, if we go up here, okay, this is the H1 right here, Michael Brecker. We're styling that right now. We can increase the font size. Now remember, the margin is outside of this border, but where does it stop and where does it end? So let's go back into Google Chrome and let's right click and hit inspect. Okay, let's open this up. Now let's go over here. Now be careful, you have to get, let me just hit Command plus, make that a little bit bigger so you can see it. Now we want to click on, usually it's like this, you want to click on here and you want to click on H1 Michael Brecker. You want to highlight that, otherwise it's not going to be highlighting the right thing. Scroll all the way down until we get to that box. There we go. So let me just come out a little bit. It's a little bit too low there. And then, so look at the margin. If I highlight the margin, now you can see the margin. There's no margin on the left and right, but there's a margin on the top and bottom. 26.8 pixels top, 26.8 pixels bottom. You can see it's tan highlighted at the top and bottom. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of the bottom margin. I'll keep the top one, but I want to get rid of the bottom one. So now you can see it in here. This is very, very useful. See that? We're going to get rid of here. So let's go out of here and let's minimize this to the right. And then let's just put a 0 here. And then semicolon, and then that changed it. It slightly changed it up. Let's just double check that. Go back to inspect and open this up once more, and then make sure that it's highlighted there. And now if we go down here, you can see the bottom margin is gone. It's only highlighted at the top. It did its work. Perfect. So let's come out of here. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I want to make it responsive, just like we did with the main div. We're going to make this one responsive as well. So when it hits 512 pixels, things are going to change. Thank you for watching part 3 of the coding project. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And if this has been helpful so far, please remember to subscribe and hit the like button. We'll continue styling the HTML code in part 4. So see you in the next video.